What is up, math superstars? In this edition of Mr. Peterson Presents, we're going to be giving you some strategies to be successful with fraction word problems. And so in this video, we're not actually going to solve the problems. What we're going to do is we're going to read them together and then figure out which operations we are going to perform. So we have this question. We have Greg and Sam ordered a pizza for lunch. Yum, yum. Greg ate 3/4 of the pizza and Sam ate 1/8 of the pizza. So how much? So we know we have a question. We're dealing with our question here. How much of the whole pizza was eaten by Sam or Greg and Sam? And so this keyword right here, and, is going to clue us in that we're dealing with an addition problem here. And so we'd say 3/4 plus 1/8. And in dealing with addition word problems, we have keywords like total or have in all. In this case, we have the keyword we're looking for, Greg and Sam. So with this question, we have Johnny has 6 1/4 feet of material for his costume. He needs 10 2/3 feet for the entire costume. How much more material does he need? And so we have our question mark. And here's the key phrase, how much more? So how much more material? We're going to subtract 10 2/3 minus 6 1/4. And so we got a subtraction problem. And for subtraction problem, the key words, we have how much more or how much is left. So those things will key us in that we have a subtraction word problem. And so the biggest thing after that is that you would set this up 10 2/3 minus 6 1/4. You create common denominators and then perform subtraction. So here we have this one now. We have a boy baked a batch of cookies. Only 1/3 of the batch was left after dinner. The next day, the boy took 1/2 of the leftover cookies to school. What fraction of the leftover cookies did he take to school? And so this one we start to get to be a little trickier here. And so when we see 1/2 of the leftover cookies, so we need to figure out what half of 1/3 is. And when we start to use that language, we're going to deal with multiplication problems here. So I'm figuring out some keywords. I have half of something, half of the leftover cookies. So that something is half of the leftover cookies. The question was, we're looking for the leftover cookies. So the leftover cookies is pointing to the 1/3. You might also see some other keywords. If we double something, we multiply it by 2. If we triple something, we multiply it by 3. Times is another word for multiplication. And then if we do half, we're multiplying it by 1/2. So some keywords to kind of look at when we deal with multiplication problems. We have this question. We have our friend Mia is working on projects that require 3 1/2 yards of ribbon per project. So you can see right here, we're going to start underlining some key things here per project. Mia has 28 yards of ribbon. What is the greatest number of projects that Mia can complete with this ribbon? And so with this here, we have this long ribbon. She has 28 total yards. We need to figure out how many projects. So the greatest number of projects is going to be what we're looking for. When we're trying to figure out groupings of things, we're dealing with division. So some keywords like how many pieces, how many projects in this case, how many batches if we're dealing with cooking. If we're going to equally share or equally split something, we're dealing with division. So in this case, if I was going to set this up, I'm going to write this one out because this one is a little tricky. I have 28. Now I'll divide that by 3 1/2. And then I'll go ahead and follow the division rules where I'm making both of them improper fractions. I'm keeping the first fraction, flipping the second fraction, and then multiplying it. So, but the way I would set it up is you have the total is 28. The length of each project, 3 1/2, and that's going to give us the greatest number of projects that she can have. Now we're going to deal with some more complex problems here, and so I'm just going to bring this up. These are called multi-step problems. And so in this, to be successful, you need to break this down into small steps. With multi-step, they're totally doable. You just got to figure out all the little parts and then put it together in the end. And so this question says this. It says, April made 40 cookies for the upcoming bake sale. 3/5 of the cookies are chocolate chip, and 1/4 of them are peanut butter. How many chocolate chip and peanut butter cookies are there altogether? And so if I'm going to break this down, you need to figure out the total number of chocolate chip cookies. So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to do 40 times 3/5. And then you got to figure out the peanut butter cookies. So I'll do 40 times 1/4, both of which are completely doable by themselves. And then you're going to get some totals here. So this would be a peanut butter total. You would have a chocolate chip total. And then it says how many chocolate chip and peanut butter. And so what I would do at the end, I would do chocolate chip plus peanut butter at the end. And so you might be given questions like this that require multiple steps. This one requires 3 different steps, but the key is if you can break it down into small steps, you're going to be successful at multi-step problems. So here we have another multi-step problem, and the same thing applies for this type of problem. Here we're given a table. It says the table below shows the hours Drake spends studying for his classes. So you can see math, he spends 1 1/3 hours, science 2/3 of an hour, and history 3/4 of an hour. The question says how many hours does Drake spend studying? And so here we have a multi-step, but in this case we're just going to be adding all 3 fractions together. And so if I was going to do this, what you can do is aim for the fractions that have common denominators first. So I would add 1 1/3 plus 2/3 first. So when I do that, I'm actually going to do this problem. It equals 2. And then you're left with 3/4 left. And then you just add 3/4 to that being the next step. And so in these types of problems with the table, in order to be successful, just focus on adding 2 fractions at a time. Or if it's a subtraction problem, just subtract 2 at a time, but the key is find the ones that have common denominators first. So you might want to write that on your page, common denominators first. This is going to be the key to help you in doing the tables for multi-step problems. And so here you can always review this video to help you in solving any kind of fraction word problem ranging from single step to multi-step.